Well, good morning. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Petra Wellness. I'm the spiritual director here, and I'm just so delighted to be with you this morning. The rest of our core council is still at the core council retreat somewhere out on Cedar Creek Lake. We've spent the last couple of days together, and I raced home last night through the rain to be with you guys this morning, and yeah, all that good rain nourishing the earth. How wonderful was that this morning? And so I'm grateful that you're with us as we nourish our souls with the presence of the divine. We are moving deeper into our form of affirmative prayer, spiritual mind treatment. This week, as we step out in faith, we are moving into the realization step of treatment, which is the heart of the prayer, where we affirm and know, claim our spiritual truth as the outward changed experience, the healing or the newness that we are desiring. So we'll be diving deeply into that this morning. So I'd like to welcome any one of you who is here for the first time.
Hi, I'm Petra Wellness, Senior Minister of the Center for Spiritual Living in Dallas, and we're delighted that you found us here on the web. You can find our Sunday services on our website by every Wednesday. And we love that you can look at us online and explore these spiritual teachings. Feel free to explore our archives. It goes back a number of years with lots of special topics and amazing speakers. You can also sign up for our email news, My Daily Words, and my blog, Spiritual Living with Dr. Petra. If you're looking for a spiritual community, come visit us. Or if you're just in Dallas, drop on by. We'd love to give you a hug. Welcome home.
One of these mornings, Lord, I swear, I wake up already there, out of the darkness into the light. It's how I feel when all is wrong, even though I don't belong, out of the darkness into the light. Out of the darkness, coming out. Hey, out of the darkness, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I wasn't really born to run, that's just where I'm coming from. Out of the darkness into the light. So when I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to keep. Out of the darkness into the light. Out of the darkness, coming out. Hey, out of the darkness, I wanna live like there's nothing to forgive, no one to betray, nothing left to pay. Yeah, 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 yeah. One of these mornings, Lord, I swear, I wake up already there, out of the darkness into the light. Out of the darkness into the light. Into the light. Into the light.
Tom Casado Rao with Jonathan and Mike. Thank you so much. Plus, that's the coolest way I've ever seen anybody play a fiddle. Really, honest to God, that was, thank you. Out of the darkness into the light. That's what we do with our spiritual mind treatment. With our affirmative prayer, we move ourselves from some place that we are unhappy with, something that we want to have changed, whether it's an external condition, we want our job to go better, we want to have success in a presentation, we want to find a new job, we want to have love in our lives. It might be something that we need to heal. We want to heal our bodies. We want to heal a physical condition. We want to heal a mental or an emotional thing that we have hanging around. Or we want to release an old belief. Or we simply want to express extraordinary gratitude for all the great good in our lives and declare for more. All of these things, any of these things, are things that we do prayer around. And spiritual mind treatment really allows us to name the thing, the spiritual truth that we're remembering, and to claim it as the reality of who we are, and then to aim it at our lives in a deliberate manner. Now, we've been talking about, right, recognition, the first step of spiritual mind treatment. We remember what's true about God. In the second step, we remember what's true about ourselves. And here in this third step, the realization step, we are actually realizing that this spiritual truth is present in our own lives all the time, and we're imagining what it looks like if we actually believed that that were true and didn't just say the words that were true. Ernest Holmes says spiritual mind treatment, which by the way is the only thing that's new about science mind. Spiritual is the formula called spiritual mind treatment. Ernest Holmes was very, very interested in the question, why is it that some prayers are answered and others not? Because every faith tradition has prayer. And in every faith tradition, some prayers are answered and some prayers aren't answered. And in exploring and studying all of this and really looking at how people are healing themselves and listening to the master teacher who said, it is done unto you as you believe, it is your faith that has made you whole, spiritual mind treatment teaches us that it's not about doing anything to God. Spirit is already showering us with good, wants us to be happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, and productive, and contribute to life and experience the joy of love. That's already the truth of our being. Spirit's already giving us all of that. What we're doing is moving ourselves into right relationship with that. He says it's the art and science of inducing belief. Remember, it's done unto you as you believe. Your faith has made you whole. And so this prayer is the art of moving us and inducing belief. And so we realize that in our prayer work, and as we're doing this work, we're not doing anything to God. What we're actually doing is we are contributing to the shift in our own consciousness. When we do that, when we shift our own consciousness, the quantum physicists have taught us that life is how we observe it to be. When we observe life to be a certain way, remember, we're collapsing the quantum field into that experience for us. And not just that we're perceiving it that way, we're actually collapsing the quantum field in a very real way into that experience. Psychologists have taught us that we don't know our automatic nervous system and the way in which our brains are constructed. We don't actually know the difference between a real and an imagined experience. We can induce within ourselves, through our own imagination, the lived experience of something. Remember that time that you were so afraid that something happened to someone that you loved, that you got all wigged out only to find that they were home watching television? Right? Or you're so afraid that some horrible thing is going to happen, you're going to lose your job or whatever, only to discover that all of this anxiety and angst that we've created in ourselves was completely made up, and yet it feels very real because our bodies and our brains don't actually know the difference. And so finally, the neuroscientists teach us that our habitual thought processes, the way in which we habitually think and see about the world, literally creates neuro-pathways. We call those our beliefs. That's the filter through which we experience life. So prayer, spiritual mind treatment, is a technology, a spiritual technology that induces belief. It collapses reality by causing us to imagine the way we would like, to imagine the way life would be if we actually walked around knowing the truth that we know, to observe it in our prayer work, to observe it as we are speaking it. And by doing so, we're collapsing the quantum field and we're building new neuro-pathways in our brain that say, oh, that's how it is. Oh, that's right. I believe that to be true. Oh, not only do I intellectually believe it to be true, but I am experiencing it as a lived experience. And what happens when I experience it as a lived experience? I believe it or know it at every level of my being. And that is what the universal law of cause and effect uses to outpicture our lives. In our fabulous companion book, Can We Talk to God? I hope that you are reading along in this book and using it. He says this: there should be a definite and conscious expectancy. We should feel as though the entire power of the universe were for us and never against us. All conversation to the contrary must be resolutely set aside. Remember that treatment is neither wishing nor willing. It is an affirmation of the presence, the power, and the willingness of the divine law to specialize itself for us to meet every human need. It is not through human determination, nor by power or by might, but by the silent workings of the Spirit, through organized thought, that the divine imparts its power to each person. We are chemists in the laboratory of the infinite. What shall we produce? We are chemists, we are scientists in the laboratory of the infinite. What shall we create? What shall we manifest? Do you see, we're radically free to manifest the life of our dreams. But it requires organized thought. It requires a systematic way of inducing a new idea and creating a new belief, as opposed to all the garbage beliefs that we've been fed from our parents, our past experiences, the media, the fear, the whatever the nonsense is. We develop a habit of organized belief through the power of our prayer, our spiritual mind treatment. And that allows the law to specialize itself for us according to that which we have observed in our own imagination. Ernest Holmes goes on to say this: intelligent practitioners know that there is a universal law which acts on our word, and we use this law with the definite knowledge that we are scientifically using a proven principle, a known, definite, and provable force. For to us, the presence of an intelligent power in the universe, which receives the impress of this thought and acts upon it, is an accepted and proven fact. In quantum physics, it's called the power of observation, right? That you see in the experiment that which you expect to see, and by observing it, you see it. In psychology, it's called the self-fulfilling prophecy. That which you expect to see, that which you speak about and talk about, is precisely the experience that you're having back. In neuroscience, they teach us over and over and over again, those habitual pathways of thinking create the very filtration system that is allowing you or causing you to experience life the way it is. And that becomes the mold which our automatic nervous system uses to generate our bodies and our whole life experience. In the spiritual realm, we call that the law of cause and effect. And so our spiritual mind treatment is a deliberate spiritual technology to utilize these things for our benefit. And not just personally, egoically for our benefit, but for our benefit, my benefit, your benefit, the benefit of the people that I pray for, the benefit of the planet as we heal or change or manifest new conditions that offer new possibilities into the world. And so we use this technology to induce belief. We've talked about recognition. We begin with the understanding or the remembering of what's true about the one, the wholeness, the divine reality that we live in. We unify ourselves with it. And then in this third step, in this realization step, we're literally declaring what our life looks like now that we've remembered something about God, something about spirit, and remembered that that's true about us too. Now, if these two things were true, how would that look in this situation or circumstance in our life? And we begin to actually imagine it. We express it to ourselves. We describe it to ourselves. We name it, and then we claim it as the reality of the truth of life as it is wanting to be and express as us. And so we are aiming that which we're naming and claiming, we're aiming that into a very particular area of our life. Whatever it may be, it can be as specific as I want to express this particular thing, a particular job, a particular car. It doesn't matter if it's red or blue. If I want a red, whatever Prius, then I'm now claiming a red Prius. Or maybe I want to experience more love and peace in my life because I am more grounded in the truth of my being. You see, it can be very, very much about expressing the qualities of God, or it can be anything in between to as specific as we want. Why? Because we're not doing anything to God. There's nothing out there that we're asking, begging, beseeching, pleading, wishing, hoping, wanting will hear our prayer. The universe is already as us living. What do you want to produce? What do you want to create? We are radically free in this. And we get to experience the consequences or the benefits of the choices that we make about what we want to create. And some of us have been very busily going about creating things that don't serve us. Yes, haven't we? And we've come to the point where we say, okay, that is enough of that. I want to create something new. I want something new in my life. I want a changed condition, a healed situation, a healed inner state, or more of something really beautiful that I'm already creating. And so we reach for this spiritual tool called spiritual mind treatment, this spiritual technology that induces a belief in the fastest, most direct line that I've ever experienced. It's all about what it does to us. Do you see, we are bringing our intellect into alignment because we tell ourselves what we know to be true, and then we're working to experience it, to feel it emotionally, to accept that it's true, and then we're actually going to describe it so powerfully that our whole body experiences like, oh my God, that's what's really true. And our whole system aligns with how life is trying to move through us anyway. Only we get to aim it. We get to name the spiritual truth we want to experience, claim it as our own, and aim it in any area of our life that we choose. And what an amazing opportunity that is for us to engage, truly engage in co-creating life with the divine. Now, I noticed as I was exploring this topic and was really thinking about this is a lot of words that I've just given you. And this is why we're wanting for people to go into sanghas, so that you can explore this and experience this. Let me tell you, the only way to learn how to pray is to pray. The only way to learn how to do spiritual mind treatment is to do spiritual mind treatment. And your treatments are going to sound different than anybody else's. You're going to be more flowery or less flowery. You're going to be shorter. You're going to be more to the point. You're going to be less to the point. Doesn't matter. The words don't matter. It's not about the words. It's about the alignment that's created and the acceptance in our lived experience that within us says yes to this thing that we are describing. And so that's why we want all of us to have this experience and to be in these powerful places where we're praying for each other. And of course, we go into classes, spiritual practices coming up. If you have already taken foundations class, and we talk about it in foundations, in all of our classes, to continually go deeper into this experience. But here on Sunday morning, right, all I can do is tell you about it. And then I get bored with myself. And I'm sure you get bored of it too, because, okay, there's only so much we can do with words. So what we're actually going to do is I'm going to invite you into the lived experience of it. And so I'm actually going to do spiritual mind treatment for us and model it and demonstrate it. Now, this is how I do it. You're going to do it. You're going to use your own words and your own metaphors and your own symbols. But I want us to collectively have an experience of what it's like to do this powerful spiritual technology that transforms our inner state of reality and repatterns and reprograms our brains and completely realigns us with spiritual truth. And so I actually thought of a number of things we could pray about. So I thought one thing we could pray about is success and prosperity, because we're all wanting to, have our businesses grow and do fabulous things with our life. We could pray about success and prosperity. We could pray about the releasing of stress and the moving out of that. We could pray about health concerns, and how to bring our bodies back into alignment with perfect health. But we probably can't pray about all three because a treatment takes as long as it takes. So, not hearing, the first service, it was very clear what we were praying for. It was very clear. When I hit it and said it out loud, you could hear it in the room. Oh, it's like, okay, clearly we're praying for that. So how many of us would like to have a prayer for success and prosperity? Okay. Oh my God, that's a lot of hands. Okay, perfect. Okay, how many of us would like to have a prayer for the release of stress? Okay, and how many of us would like to have a prayer for health concerns? Okay, that's a lot. Okay. All right. Okay, so what we don't do is shotgun treatments. We don't do shotgun treatments. Why? Because we don't believe them ourselves. You can't fix your whole life at once. And you can't just keep adding and adding and adding and adding stuff. Well, I want to be happy, and I want to have a good relationship, and I want my life to work, and I want my job to be better, and oh, thank you, God. Okay? Right? Tell me that you believe that. No. That's why we don't do shotgun treatments. Because the point is we are inducing belief in ourselves. Remember, we are not doing anything to God. We are aligning ourselves with truth that's already present. And we are claiming our ability to create life in our lives. We're claiming our divine ability to speak our word of authority for the thing that we choose. And so that's a really directive process. So what I really saw was success and prosperity and health. So I'm actually going to do one treatment, but I'm going to do 2 realization steps. One for success and prosperity as a complete prayer, and one for health, a complete realization step, and one for health. And what I'm going to do by doing that is I'm going to actually model 2 different ways in which we can imagine and experience that which we are describing, right? And again, this is just the way that I do it. You're going to do it the way that you do it. The steps are critical because they're shifts in consciousness that they're creating, but the words themselves are not. And I will flag the steps so you can hear them as we go through. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do is, because we don't want to confuse this, you can, of course, treat for other people. You can do prayer for other people if they've asked. We don't pray for our partners to get better and different if they haven't asked about it. We don't pray for our children to get jobs unless they've asked for that, right? Because prayer works, and so we can manipulate people's lives, and we don't do that. So we pray for people if they've asked, or they said, yes, please, you can pray for me. And when we pray for somebody else, remember, we're not doing anything to God, so we're also not doing anything to them. We're praying always about them in the third person. What I know to be true about them, because the work is being done here in my consciousness. I'm describing it, not sending anything to them. But what we want to do is we want to start out with praying for ourselves in a really powerful way. The other thing I want to say is I love to pray out loud because I don't know about you, but I start praying quietly to myself, and the next thing I knew, I'm thinking about what I need to be doing tomorrow. And I'm wondering whether it's on my to-do list. And then I'm like, oh, wait, no, I was praying. And then I have to get back to my prayer. And then all of a sudden I'm having a conversation with somebody. So I get very distracted and with my own thoughts because they're so interesting or not, or they're just habitual. So I find praying out loud to be it keeps me on track because I'm saying it out loud. And they say that a prayer said out loud or sung is twice prayed because it comes out of your mouth and you hear it at the same time. It's really powerful to do prayer out loud. Not required. You can write it, type it, whatever keeps you in focus. And then the other thing is I'm going to pray this prayer as if you were speaking. So I'm going to say it I. I'm going to say the prayer I because I want to model it for you and I want you to experience it. So as I'm doing this prayer, I want you to just really imagine that this I is you. And really whatever you need to do to accept it, to take it on, to say yes to it, and to allow the words to be your words. All right? So everybody who would like to have prayer for success and prosperity, please stand up. And everybody who would like to have prayer for personal health, please stand up. Okay. Those of you who are not standing, you can certainly accept the prayer for yourself, absolutely no problem whatsoever. And you can hold consciousness for the rest of the people in the room, and you can just accept it as true for them. Now, so I made everybody in the first service stand for the whole time, and I noticed it was long. So I'm actually not going to make you stand for the whole prayer, but the act of standing says, this prayer is for me, all right? So I'm going to have you put your hands on your belly, like right over your belly button. This is the place from which we pray. This is the place where we're going to feel our prayer, and we're going to experience it. So keeping your hands on your belly, really grounded and anchored in that spot. And I'm going to invite you to go ahead and sit down, because we're going to be in this prayer together. Now, I close my eyes when I pray because I get distracted. And so I don't want to be paying attention to anything else. You don't have to close your eyes when you pray. You don't have to close your eyes when somebody else is praying. But visual stimulation is so much a part of us that closing our eyes causes us to go within. So if you choose, I invite you to close your eyes with me. And I'm going to invite you to allow these words that I say in the first person as I to be the words that you are saying to and for and about yourself. So we begin where we always begin, with the breath. And just feeling ourselves breathe all the way down into that place in our bellies where we have our hands. And the breath takes us down into stillness. And we feel ourselves become more quiet, more open. And it is in this place of stillness that we begin recognition. As I breathe into this place of absolute stillness and quiet, I realize that I've discovered here this infinite center. This infinite center that is the center of all of life, all of creation, whose circumference is nowhere, but whose center is right here where I am. An infinite reality that, like a hologram, is everywhere in the universe, is the very source of that image. An infinite one, an infinite presence, an infinite life that is moving in, through, and as creation all of the time. And yet, of itself, this one is this infinite presence. So, what will I recognize in this moment about this infinite presence? Well, thinking about success and prosperity, what I know to be true about this infinite presence is that it is forever actively expressing itself through life. Every bit of creation is this infinite presence throwing itself into the experience of life without any concern or doubt about whether it's going to become the tree or the star or the hummingbird. It simply is expressing itself with divine activity and intelligence, moving out into life, into expression, into creation. And it is never unsuccessful about this. Every star is born. The forest grows. The sun shines. This activity is always moving forward. And everything that is needed for this activity to express itself in life in its totality is already present. Everything the tree needs to pull from the soil is already there. The sunlight is already there. Everything that is needed for every activity. Somehow the universe, the infinite life, knows how to grab everything to make a hummingbird that is needed. And so there is enough and more than enough for all of creation. Nothing missing, nothing lacking. And as I recognize this truth about the one, I recognize something else if I think about health. I recognize that there is a divine pattern for this perfection as it moves into reality. There is a divine pattern for tree and for bird. There is a divine pattern for each organ of the body. There is a divine pattern in life itself that clothes itself in the atoms and molecules and cells. The pattern itself is perfect wholeness. That is what's calling forth every bit of creation. Now, there are many truths that I might recognize about the one, but these are the two that I specifically focus my attention on, that I specifically name. And now as I move to the unification step, I claim that my life is that one life as me. The essential truth of my being is that one life moving in, through, and as me. I am the place where the one is waking up to itself as me. And I claim those things that I've said to be true about the one in the macrocosm, I claim them for myself in the microcosm. Because that life that is my life is sourced directly from the one. There's no place where the one stops and I start. There's no bar or window that has to be opened. It is one continuous life, and it is mine right now. And so I can move now to realize that this very truth about life, that there is this divine activity moving into creation and is governed and guided by the intelligence and wisdom of the universe, is happening in my life. This very wisdom and intelligence, this very activity is my life expressing itself in my own world of affairs. This particular thing that I have in mind about success and prosperity, whether it's a job or whether it's a business or whether it's a particular outcome, it is governed by the same activity, the same wisdom and intelligence. And I am guided to do the right thing at the right time with the right people in the right way, just exactly as the tree knows how to take the right amount of sunlight and the right stuff out of the soil to grow. So my business grows. So I am successful in these activities. And there is enough and more than enough of everything that is needed for this success in this life, in this human experience that shows up as prosperity and money. While the tree may need sunlight and that which it pulls out of the soil in our life today, I need money, prosperity. And so that is what the universe is pulling out of the soil of life itself. Enough prosperity and more than enough for everything that I need to share and to spare. This is the success that I claim. I've named it and claimed it, and I have aimed it in my own life. And so now I take a moment to experience, wow, this is the truth. I am successful and prosperous. Just like the tree is successful at being a tree and has all that it needs, I too stand here right now, right in this moment. I am successful and prosperous. This is the reality of my being, and it now attracts everything to it that it needs to be expressed and demonstrated in the physical world. Right now, in every possible way. Because I move from the inside out from this place of success and prosperity. And I see it demonstrated in my bank account. I see it demonstrated in my business. I see it demonstrated in the activity of the things that I am involved in. And this success blesses and prospers not only me, but every person that I come in contact with. Every person that my business either employs or as a client or as a customer. In every way, this prosperity flows through me, blessing and prospering others. Because that is how the universe works, an infinite cycle of giving and receiving. And I accept my good right now, in this moment. I allow that to rest in my body. I allow it to rest in my lived experience. This is the truth. This is the truth. And so as I've spoken this truth about success and prosperity, I can speak the same truth about health. As I name the perfect pattern that is the divine presence of life, and I claim it as the truth of myself, I aim it at the health in my body. And I remember and realize that every atom, every molecule, every cell, every organ, every system, every part of my body is governed by a divine pattern of wholeness, or it wouldn't know how to be a heart or lungs or a skeleton. There is a divine pattern at work here. And that divine pattern is cause in life. And so I realign myself with the divine pattern. I simply affirm that this is the truth, regardless of anything that I have heard or experienced or felt. The divine pattern is moving. All the atoms and molecules and cells are rearranging itself, are rearranging themselves right now into right relationship with that divine pattern. Because that is the reality of my spiritual being. That is the reality of the truth of who I am. That is the I that I am. And the body is simply an outpicturing of this I that I am. And it must conform now to this divine pattern of perfection and wholeness. I release any fear or doubt or worry about this. I release anything that might be in my conscious mind, my subjective mind. I release any diagnosis. I release anything I've ever heard or felt or experienced about this. Because it is spirit that is cause, and the physical body is simply an effect. And I set a new cause in motion right now, a divine pattern of perfection and wholeness. And I expect it now to reveal and demonstrate itself in the particular area of my life, of my body that I focus on right now. And I imagine it healthy and well and moving and living and breathing in exactly accordance, corresponding with the divine pattern of perfection. It is the mental equivalent that I hold in consciousness, and the law must now busily go around and make it so. There's not one single thing I have to do about this. The law knows how to do it. The infinite wisdom and intelligence of the universe, the law and cause and effect that holds the planets in place and causes all of creation to happen, it actually knows how to do this. I don't have to. So I rest for a moment in a deep awareness that this is the spiritual truth I have announced. I've named it and claimed it. And I've aimed it at the physical reality of my body, and I now accept that it is so. That the law of cause and effect works as effortlessly as gravity and electricity. I have turned on the switch. I don't have to make it happen. So I sit here for a moment in the peace that comes with knowing this truth, and the absolute recognition and realization that I've simply described spiritual truth, and I have imagined that it's actually so. And now I feel that deep gratitude and that perfect sense of trust that it is, in fact, so. And so I've moved into right relationship with spiritual truth. I release anything that stands in the way of this, whether for health or success and prosperity. I release any old idea, old thought, past pattern, anything I've ever heard about it. I release anything that's stored in my body, any trauma or anything that might be stored in my cells, a subjective mind, the mind of the human race. I release it out of my consciousness now. It has no place in spiritual truth. No place. I turn my entire attention and being only and always to spiritual truth. And so I am restored in perfect gratitude and trust and faith. I am restored to alignment. And so with deep gratitude, I can just let it go now, trusting absolutely in the law. I let it go. I let it be. And together we say, and so it is. Next week, we'll talk about Thanksgiving and release as a powerful part of the prayer process. And you'll see that there's no rush in prayer. We have gone a little bit long, and to complete the service will go a little bit long. But a prayer has to be felt. Do you see? That's what it means to have the technique and the fire. You know how to walk yourself through it. And you walk yourself through it until there's something in your body that realizes it and experiences it. So I do want to take a minute. I know we're running just a little bit long. I want to take a minute and just check in. How are you doing? Comments? Anything that anybody would like to say or ask or comment on? That's what it feels like to do collective prayer too. Could you feel it? Okay, this is why we want you in sanghas. You will have that experience in your sangha when you pray together. It's just that vibrating collective consciousness when we're all in agreement with spiritual truth. That's why we want us to be in sanghas. Because we can do the prayer ourselves, absolutely. And when we do it collectively, you can feel it. Chising.
Well, during most of the service, my nasal passages were bothering me. But during the treatment, it just vanished.
It just vanished. During most of the service, Chising said his nasal passages were bothering him, but during the treatment, it just vanished. Thank you. Thank you. Just wanting to check in. Anything else that feels like it wants to be said or shared? Jeff?
I just hope everyone understands that they don't need to be so eloquent.
So I'm going to invite you not to compare. Right? The point isn't the eloquence. The point is, what do you need to do to come to spiritual truth? And these are the kinds of things that you can learn how to do. You can actually learn how to be as eloquent as that. Yes, actually, that would be great. Whatever you need to do. But it's your words. It's your way. So it's not the words, it's the process. That's what we're trying to illuminate. Does that make sense to you? Right? The way in which you describe it to yourself, the way in which you move yourself from one thing to the next, is the way in which you create the neural pathways in your brain. And the technology of spiritual mind treatment, the moving from the one to the individual to the outpicturing, this is what creates the shift in consciousness. And you might use nature images, you might use things that another practitioner has said for you at some point. You might use a Bible passage or a passage from another scripture or something that you've read in Ernest Holmes that helps you get a hold of this experience. Okay? But yes, you do not have to sound like me. Not in any way, shape, or form. Nor do you have to sound like any other practitioner. You're going to sound the way that you sound. Chris?
I think it was very powerful when you transcended from the cellular level to larger levels. And I think that's always been very powerful for me is taking my consciousness to the smallest factors and then zooming them out to the largest factors and seeing the truth.
Yes. Good. So we took it from the cellular level. I can't even say it. The cellular, this is what happens to me after I treat. I'm not completely all the way back in my body yet. Because we go from the cellular level all the way to the macrocosm. And what do we see? We see that it's all one. We see that. But that's what we're showing ourselves. And we're seeing, oh wait, but if it's true about the one, then it's true about like every little tiny little piece of me and everything in between. So thank you. Thank you. Okay. Good. Yes, Sue.
For me, this is a kind of a work in progress that is for me is letting go of the control. And as I have the experience of spiritual mind treatment and truly letting go and know that I don't have to do anything,
Yes.
but just trust. I've noticed that as I tend to let go of situations out here, it makes it easier for me in spiritual mind
Good.
treatment.
All right. So Sue's talking about the importance and the challenge of letting go of control, the difficulty that we have sometimes, and the more that we can let go in our spiritual mind treatment, or the more that we can let go of things out here, the more that we can practice letting go within. And so that's going to be our topic next week. Thanksgiving is the obvious next step when you realize the truth of your being, and then there's the release, the letting go, the trusting of the law. Remember, we're using a law. The law of cause and effect. That's the law of the creative process. We are deliberately engaging in using it. Just like we're deliberately engaging in using gravity right now so that we're not floating off into space. Just that simple. And so next week we're going to talk about moving in that place of deep trust that, yes, the law actually takes care of everything. We do not have to figure that out. All right. So as I said, I know we've gone just a little bit long. This week, now many of you stood up and said this treatment was for you. So this week, I'm looking for TSRWs on the Facebook page. I am expecting you to demonstrate. You should be expecting to demonstrate. We have spoken our word. You have spoken your word as me. I've spoken it for you. And so when the TSRWs come, I want to see them on the Facebook page. You can do this. We're going to begin naming and claiming and aiming it in our lives. We're going to begin working on these spiritual mind treatments. And so if you're doing a treatment for something for yourself, to put your TSRW on the Facebook page, because that's the other piece of it, is that we want to actually expect it. So you don't have to do it now, or you can with me. We seem to regularly lock up our Wi-Fi when we do this. But I do want you to remember that you're going to go to your Facebook page, go to our Facebook page, Center for Spiritual Living Dallas, and you're going to find this on the Facebook page. And if you are willing to commit to step out in faith by realizing, declaring, and accepting your good, then you're going to tag yourself. If you don't know how to tag yourself, ask your friend or ask your 6-year-old. I mean, they know how to do it, right? So you're going to go to Center for Spiritual Living, you're going to find this, and you're going to tag yourself. And that's your way of saying, I commit to claiming my good. I commit to speaking the prayer. I commit to saying it out loud. I commit to doing it, not being afraid of what it sounds like or whether it's like anybody else. Just do it. The only way to learn how to pray is to pray. The only way to learn how to do spiritual mind treatment is to do spiritual mind treatment. And so no matter how awkward you feel or uneloquent or whatever, it makes absolutely no difference. It's like learning any other skill. And so I've been doing this for a really long time. I sure to heck hope I'm good at it. It would be bad if I were not. So you might be sitting down to the piano for the very first time. Don't expect it to sound like me. Right? It's going to sound like you. You're sitting down at the piano for the very first time. That's okay. But we have to start playing and practicing. Come to the Wednesday night. Wednesday night, Christine and Sherry are doing a fabulous job. They're going deeper in, each time, deeper into the step. You'll have opportunities to practice and experience it and be with it at a deeper level. And then, of course, we want you to go into a Sangha. You've now had experience of group prayer and what that feels like. So today, you can start signing up in the groups. We have so many people who've signed up as Sangha starters. I cannot tell you how excited I am about that. And so there's a map, it's in Pankey Hall, of where everybody is, and start signing up for your Sangha so you can have this experience. And then on March 30th, we'll be having, after both services, an opportunity for your groups to get together and for you to learn about, okay, how do we do this as a group? And like everything else, you'll do it for a while that way, and then you'll find your own way, and that will be lovely. And we expect to see our TSRWs on the Facebook page, because I believe every treatment works, and so we should be demonstrating. All right, so we're going to join together then in our closing song, since we've already had a nice long prayer together.